right, so this is the TFTuesday Podcast.
Yes, it is. Hello, hello.
None of us really have any idea what we're doing, so you're gonna have to bear
No.
with us.
It's gonna be like this for the first little while.
Yeah, probably until we get our footing. But yeah, tell us who you are, guys.
I'm
Here I'm joined.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, it's all ruined. You ruined it.
Yeah.
it's all over. Just cancel it.
Oh my god.
I'm here joined by Kainik and AlteredZangy.
I'm Kainik. Hello.
And I'm Altered, or Zangy, whatever.
And I'm Kulbara. We're all TF artists on FA and Twitter and elsewhere. Like, I wanted to say prominent. I'd hope we're prominent, but
I'm not.
No one thinks
You
they
both
are.
yeah.
You're
Until you
both
find-
so much better than me. Oh.
Until you find the one person that's like, yeah, I'm prominent, I'm awesome,
No,
I'm the most popular.
I actually am the best artist, so take some
Yeah.
notes.
They're all really friendly people. People who talk like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, so
What?
I guess
Yeah.
I'll.
Oh my god.
There's gonna be some growing
So-
pains. It's gonna be okay. Let's do our best. Come on.
That's what editing is for, and we'll find a rhythm. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, any stuttering or anything is totally fine. I can go first if you guys are alright with that.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so the TFTuesday Podcast is something we'd been talking about for a long time. There's been other TF podcasts, but we wanted to make one ourselves because I suppose we all, three of us, eventually four of us, maybe, it depends, will had a lot to say about TF, and well, every time we brought the idea up with others, other people seemed really genuinely excited about the idea.
Yeah, man. Like
And-
the thing about TF is that there have been, and podcasts, is that there have been attempts at making a podcast centered around this before, but they never seem to get past like 9 episodes. So I personally, and I know you both as well, really want to make
Oh, yeah.
a podcast that is like genuinely dedicated to it, and that is able to be listened to more than 9 times before it ends.
So as long as we get to 10 episodes, then we can just give up.
Yeah, we'll quit at 10.
Yeah, job's done.
Yeah, exactly.
Collect paycheck. Woo. Oh wait.
Yeah, it's also
But-
pro bono. Like, it would be cool to be paid, but also that's, I don't think, the reason anybody here is doing it.
Not at all.
But if anyone wants to buy me a coffee, I'd appreciate it because I was literally starving this morning.
Oh.
Aw.
Yeah, Kulbara.
We're also doing
Okay.
this over the internet, which means that there's going to be a lot of us interrupting each other. So that's probably going to be something we have to get used to as well.
Especially since we, the different time zones and all, there may or may not be lag that we're unaware of. But
Yes.
As-
I'm on the complete opposite end of the planet to you two.
as time goes on,
true.
we will know when to talk and when not to talk. It just kind of happens.
Exactly.
As you said, growing pains. It's all good. But let's see.
Well,
Well,
we're supposed to be introducing ourselves.
yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna ask you, Altered, like, what do you how did you get your start in TF, and what interests you about it? I guess because it's such a varied subject, and so many people are into it for different reasons. I think that's going to be one of the fun things about this, is learning what certain people are into,
Yeah.
what makes them tick.
If you ask anybody, like, what got them into this sort of thing, their, like, origin stories it's always different, but it's still like really similar. And it usually just boils down to I was a small child and I saw a weird thing on TV, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I went crazy. So
It's true, corrupted.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
like
yeah, basically, that's the same with me.
so.
Uh,
Uh,
I very specifically remember watching two things, which were Jake Long American Dragon, and the episode of SpongeBob where he turned into a snail. And then ever since then, I have not been able to get it out of my head, and I've just been progressing deeper and deeper into this hole, and now I'm here.
like when I was like a toddler, even like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years old. It's like one of my earliest memories. I was walking around in an arcade back when arcades still existed, because I'm old, and there was a Altered Beast arcade machine that was just going on like the video loop over and over, and I just got like hypnotized by it, watching this dude like collect power orbs, and then his like shirt would burst off, and then he would like turn into a werewolf or a dragon, and it had this whole like TF sequence like up close with his face changing and everything, and something about it just like dug itself into my brain as a child. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Like what would that feel like? Like that looked really cool, and he wasn't like a bad guy or whatever. He was the good guy, and it made him
That's such a huge thing. Yeah.
and it made him stronger, and it was like a positive thing, like because there's transformations and stuff in like kids cartoons and stuff from that age, but most of them are like, oh no, this is awful, but like I never really felt that way. Anytime I saw that on TV, I was that looks really cool, like uh
Anytime it wasn't a purely negative thing, it stuck with you. It stuck with me.
and I think
It
there's
stuck with me anyway.
even when
Well, when it was negative too.
even when it's supposed to be horrifying, I think there's a little bit of like fascination with it. You watch any like werewolf movie, and nobody wants the change to be like quick and like in the shadows or whatever. Even people that are grossed out by it are like, well, no, they should show it and put a lot of effort into it. It's kind of the big climax, like the special effects. It's really important. I want to see it.
Yeah, man.
And even if you don't like it, you're kind of like at least a little interested in how crazy it can be and intense it is.
Yeah, I'd argue that the horrifying TFs are actually some of the most fascinating, like especially when you're a kid. I mean, I've told this story to both you, Kainik, and Altered, but like, my aunt holds Halloween parties because like she holds really, really ornate Halloween parties because she's kind of loaded. She's like the only relative of mine that has any money whatsoever. But
Oh man,
she dressed.
I don't remember that you telling this. Okay, yeah, keep going.
Oh really? Okay, shoot. She dresses up as Cruella de Vil, and she actually looks just like her. So
Sweet.
props to her. But oh, and side trivia: she had 2 statues of dogs from Ghostbusters in her house, like custom made. She's loaded.
Oh,
But
goddamn.
anyway, she had a showing of, or actually it just came on the TV, American Werewolf in London, which I know is like the classic TF coming of age story. But she had it on the TV, and there were a lot of younger kids at the party, like 9-year-olds around that age. And for some reason, they were letting all the kids watch it. I think it's awesome that they were letting them watch it.
I would have been
But-
so fucking scared of that movie as a kid.
I know, right? But sometimes these scary things as kids are what really stick with you, like TF. But when the transformation scene came on, like these were all ADD, ADHD kids that couldn't focus, were running all over the place, like high on sugar from Halloween, and you could not take their eyes off the screen for even a second while that transformation was going on. They were staring harder than they've ever stared in their life, probably. I mean, I've kind of found that people really do find TF fascinating, even like non-furries. I don't know. I'd be curious what you guys think on that.
I mean, I haven't. I think I have the least experience with this here. Like compared. I mean, relatively, I'm still pretty new to all of this. In my own experience, the only time I have seen people who might not be furries become interested in transformation is if they're a close friend of mine and I've kind of talked about it too much around them, or they're like somebody who's like trans and there's kind of a lot of similarities between species and gender transformation. Like, I'm not trans myself, so I can't speak for that, but the conversations I've had with people from that community have been very enlightening.
For sure.
Like, at the very least, there's a connection of, I wish my body wasn't like this. It would be so much nicer if I was this instead. And I think even quote-unquote normal people will, like, feel that in some way, you know?
Absolutely.
And not even from some of the trans people I've talked to, like, this is a huge generalization, because when you talk like this, it always is. But, like, that not even understanding fully yourself and why you feel the way you do, you just kind of know you feel that way. That it, like, brings about not satisfaction, but, like, I don't know. There's a desire there that's kind of unexplainable.
There is a big part of me that kind of still feels like it's a bit weird and like wrong, and I try to, like, sometimes after a particularly, like, yucky day, I'm like, why do I feel like this? I just want to be normal, even though that's...
Yeah, there's really no such thing as a normal person, you know? Like, I do feel like there's something inside of everybody that makes them, like, think about things a certain way, you know? But, I definitely know how you feel, though. Like, when I was a little kid and I was, like, extra super, like, excited about this stuff anytime I saw it, you know, I kind of learned very quickly, like, oh, if I ask people about this subject, they get really quiet and they don't want to talk to me anymore, you know? Like,
and it's always the interesting stuff.
Like, one of my cringiest memories is, like, there was some get together at my house of just boring adults, and I went up to this lady I didn't even know as a little kid, and I just straight up asked her, like, if you turned into a werewolf, do you think it would tickle or feel bad?
Nice.
And she just stared at me, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, man.
And and as the years went on, the internet was created. The furry hate bandwagon of the early 2000s kind of cemented that idea in me of, like, oh, this is stupid, and I should never ever talk about this to anyone because I'm a bad person, you know. And I'm really grateful that has honestly, like, died down in recent years, and furries are just kind of seen as, like, weird but harmless, and, you know, actually kind of cool in a lot of ways, you know. And there's so much worse groups out there that actually do harm, you know.
Yes.
That I think younger furries and newer artists, like, don't have that sort of, like, intense shame cloud over them.
Yeah.
Like I've had to deal with, and I'm always going to
yeah.
feel a little bit of shame.
I've had to deal with it. I mean, you've been dealing with my shit for how long?
Yeah.
I feel like I joined at, like, the exact right time where things started to calm down a little bit. Because that was definitely never a thing while I've been a part of the community. At least not actively. When I was much younger, I know it was a lot more dramatic than it is now.
Very much. I remember. It still hangs over me in my head, and I'll be frank, I've had success, I've had support from a lot of really kind people, and acceptance, but almost like almost like a lot of social phobias were treated badly for a long time. Like, when I was young, I was so afraid of anyone finding out of what I actually liked. I was probably more afraid than most people would be, and, like, I drew all these drawings in my notebooks, and I would draw them in my private time and go into the bathroom and wet them down under the faucet and flush them.
I used to draw stuff in a notebook, and then, like, the emo little fucking teenager I would get a ceramic bowl, and then I'd crunch up the paper that I drew, like, a transformation on, and I put it in the bowl, and then I lit a fucking match, and I stared into the fire, and then I dropped the match into the bowl, and I let it burn.
Cool ritual, bro.
Yeah, I was so fucking emo.
I mean, I did the same thing, but I threw them away in the trash can.
Yeah, the
But
normal way
my-
of doing it.
Yeah, the normal.
My mother was the type to just have a like semi-weekly rummage through my room and backpack and everything that I owned just to see if I was up to anything.
Yeah,
And
like that didn't even.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I did not hang on to any weird drawings that I did very early
that
on.
didn't even happen to
because-
me. I just had I had such a paranoid fear that, like, the garbage collector man would see what I was drawing and then go and tell my mother for some reason.
Dude, if I'm just poking fun, but if the garbage collector cares that much about you, then you got some other problems going on with the garbage collector.
I know.
Good stuff.
But I'm happy to say, like, no one has ever actually like yelled at me for being a weirdo or said I'm a freak or anything. Like, maybe a couple of people over the years have been like kind of annoying jerks, but it was just kind of people being jerks, like in general the community and just everyone around it has been like insanely accepting and really, really kind and supportive.
Absolutely.
Like unbelievably so, honestly.
Yeah.
I have to say the TF community has, like, I was a part of the furry community a little bit before I came out about my TF interest, I'll say, and the amount of support from the TF community has just been absurd. And I'm sure the entire furry community is generous for the most part. I mean, I know it is, but I'm just saying the TF community has been very kind to me, and I
Same.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, actually,
So-
I know we didn't really, because I think everyone's been a bit nervous. We didn't really like properly introduce who we are and what we do.
We did
Yeah,
not.
you're right.
Yeah,
I think we're a little more relaxed now, though.
Yeah,
so
I think
maybe we can try it
we'll
again.
calm down a bit from that. Yeah. I'm Kainik, and I've been drawing transformation mostly of lizards since like 2018. So I've
And amphibians.
and amphibians and some birds, and I also really like paws, which you're gonna hear a lot of probably.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Don't scare off people on our first episode, please.
Okay, I'll be good.
I've been doing this the least amount of time out of everybody here, and that's me. I'm also a kobold. And I'm blue.
Yeah, I'm AlteredZangy. I prefer to be called Zangy, but I'm altered on FA, just because Zangy was already taken at the time.
Rude.
I started doing this in 2012, so it's been almost. Wait, hang on. What year is it? Yeah, it's been almost 10 years of drawing transformation stuff, and I never intended to actually become an artist. I got really annoyed that the one thing I wanted to see, just no one would ever draw it or commission it,
Literally same.
and it was just like, yeah, like I wanted to see a TF art of this one specific Pokemon because I was a little kind of obsessed with it at the time. And I was just like, screw it, I'm going to draw it then. I don't care how much I suck, And surprisingly, people actually liked it. And people, of course, whenever there's a new artist, there's a swarm of hopeful people like, hey, can you draw this for me? Can you draw this for me? And I was so flattered and kind of shocked at the time. I was like, okay, and I drew a bunch of TF comics and sequences and stuff for lots of people, and it just kind of took off. Kind of surprised me. I didn't intend for any of this to happen, honestly.
I don't think anybody did. I certainly didn't. I posted
Yeah, it's kind of. It's never.
Yeah.
Is it ever someone's plan?
No.
I don't think so.
I posted my first picture and I was like, I'm probably gonna do this for a couple of weeks.
Well, hey, maybe we can make that different with this podcast and make people like, hey, I want to be a TF artist as my chosen life path, and it will be lucrative.
Before this, I dabbled in web comics of different kinds, like sprite comics, and most notably, I did the Christian Humber Reloaded fan comic of like the world's worst fanfic, but like really, really, really funny. And I wanted to just adapt as much of it as I could, and like as serious a comic as I could draw, which wasn't very serious because I sucked. But that went on for a pretty long time, and in a very, very small section of the internet, actually got pretty popular. That was a long time ago, though. But I've way past surpassed anything I did before I started drawing TF art with how much TF art I've drawn now, like hundreds and hundreds of comic pages. And
Yeah.
I've slowed down in recent years due to the troubles, but I'm still doing my best. And I like to consider myself kind of a generic, like I can draw anything type guy. You know, I got certain things that I like, and like I like certain kinds of species because they're just more fun to draw. You know, but I try to be as well rounded as I can.
Sure.
That's it for me.
Okay. I'm Kulbara. I'm an artist on FA and Twitter, like I said. I guess I got my start way back in the day, both from a combination of media that I watched, like cartoons and all that kind of comics I read and stuff like that. I'd say one of the earliest memories I have of something in media was a Breath of Fire. The transformations in that game when the main character, the protagonist, turns into a dragon. They're not even that detailed, but just the way you could see his shape and his outline changing and how it looked it looked very intense for him. But then he was like a beautiful dragon, and just that stuck in my mind so hard.
I loved that game as a kid, and just the idea of he could just do that whenever he felt like it, and he could just like be a dragon if he wanted to, and it wasn't a big deal. You know, you could just do it at will. And
very jealous.
Yeah, I can see how that can lodge into your brain for like a lot.
Yeah, seriously, and to both of you, because like what you said about the jealousy thing, I felt that jealousy even as a kid, I knew it was impossible. So I was jealous. I didn't understand it. It was something that stuck with me, and I didn't know how to put it. So it's something that spurred me on to explore it more and more and more. The other half of it was, like, I've never been a super prolific dreamery type person, but back when I was younger, I did have not even like an overwhelming amount of TF dreams or anything. Just a few experiences and a couple of dreams led to me to really be interested in it as well. And it kind of went from there. I started drawing since forever, and my drawings all sucked. I started taking it seriously probably around like sophomore year of high school, and it's been a long process. I had a different path from you, Altered. I pretty much hid every bit of my drawing for most of my life until I was, I don't know, early mid-20s, and ever since I opened up with it, it's been an amazing experience. I draw, I'm kind of also able, or like, I like to think of myself as an everyman with TF. I can draw a lot of things, or at least I try to. I do have an affinity for dragons, though. Always have. And lately, it's been a lot of like Pokemon I've been really enjoying, but I also...
That's probably my fault.
It's what?
That's probably my fault.
Yeah, you've had a huge influence on that. Like, I never thought I'd like it earlier, but it's just been something that's grown on my mind. And also, like Kainik, I'm into like lizards and reptiles and amphibians and things like that. Very much.
Very much.
But
I am
one
being
of the fun things... Oh, go ahead.
I'm being a bit quiet right now because there is a crow outside my window, and I'm trying to like make sure that it is not being annoying, so I keep muting myself.
Well, like he doesn't. It doesn't sound as loud as it normally does.
That's good.
Yeah,
I don't think you need to worry too much.
Okay.
He's a friend. He's a good crow friend.
It sounds a lot more faint than it did on your other microphone.
Well, I'm gonna leave it then. We have now a guest, the first ever guest on the podcast, crow outside my window.
Yes.
They've already transformed though, so they're not gonna be able to talk very much.
Yeah, that's true. We'll leave it to the audience to guess who it is.
If I can just introduce a topic or
Okay.
whatever. Of course, it goes crazy now. Like furry art is like super popular. Most people know at least about its existence. And you can have narrative in furry art in like stories, the characters, like in like long running comics even. But I find like most like normal furry art is just like, here's my character, he looks cool, or like, I drew this and made him look as like awesome as I could, But TF, like by its very definition, has kind of a narrative built into it, and it lends itself to making like sequences of images or even like long comics, because the thing that's happening is kind of a story, even if it's like one image, it's like something clearly is happening, something really dramatic,
Yeah, it's
something where like you can't be satisfied entirely by drawing just like one nice picture, because you want to see like what happened before that and after that, like what did it look like at this point or at this point or at the very end, and like the more you draw, the better the thing becomes, and I think that can lead to just making a lot more art and content than you might have intended at first. And that's just something I think is kind of cool about transformation art,
Yeah, as opposed to like all furry art. There's something special there about TF art, I think. I agree with you. That's a good point. Like,
and it is something that can be entirely visual, unlike most kinds of stories or most just, I don't know, there's things you would draw that would take lots of frames and lots of pages, This is something where it's just such a strong visual thing that like being an artist that draws it is like, it really lets you get some intense emotions and feelings out.
It really lets you practice your anatomy like a lot, because there is so much that you can do, and especially when you draw like a lot and a lot and a lot of TF, there's so much variation that you can add with different scenarios and combinations of anatomy. Drawing transformation in as commissions has been the most creatively fulfilling job I've ever had, because it's always different, and I really appreciate that.
you're forced to learn something new every time,
Yeah, it's great.
and you really got to know anatomy to be able to visualize it in your own head, what it would feel like, what it would look like,
It's
sound
also
like.
it's also great because if you mess up your anatomy, you can say, "Oh, it's transformation."
Damn it! I was gonna make that joke. God damn it!
Too late.
Well, that only applies if you're not OCD.
Yeah, if you're not counting your pixels.
Damn it.
It can make it a little less intimidating, maybe, to
Don't
like
look
show
at me
people
like
your
that.
art.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like it's kind of easier to get into drawing in the first place by doing transformation art, just because
It is.
it's a much more there's a lot less pressure there to make things look accurate.
I think that's a really powerful thing, and I truly believe this. It might seem a little aggrandizing, but like, starting with TF interests, well, it really forces you to look at things a certain way, to really think about how everything feels, like what it would feel like from this creature's perspective, or even this thing's perspective, and how it would look, and it makes you imagine things in your head a lot more. I find most TF furries, or just TF people in general, have an incredibly vivid imagination. One of the things I really like about doing TF stuff is there's always a sense of identity included in it, and that's true for almost all furry art, but like, a lot of furry art is like a separation of your character from yourself, if that makes sense. But with TF art, you can do it one of two ways, I find. You can do it where it's you, yourself, your own persona transforming into the thing, which is kind of where I tend to fall on the scale. Mm-hmm. Or you can do it as a way of like escaping your normal life self. and becoming something that you would want to be rather than yourself.
I think that's
and
why
both are really
yeah.
powerful.
I think that's why transformation is so popular specifically in the furry community, because it's already built on this idea that you're escaping or enhancing real life. So, I mean, it makes sense that people would then go on to fantasize about the transition between real life and your preferred life.
And all the sensations in between, which I can't think of, like Adam was saying, I can't think of a lot of, I can't think of a lot of things that are as intense as TF, like sensation-wise, sensuality. Like, TFing must be the most powerful thing you could ever experience, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I can't think of anything that would be more like, just like, you're being forced to like feel every single part of your body, like getting bigger or smaller or stretching or growing, like things are coming out of things, your skull's crunching, like
yeah.
your brain is changing shape, and if you think about it for even a little bit, like it's like, geez, like like it would be enough to make somebody go completely crazy. And that's why we all hate it when in a video game or a movie or something, it's just like bloop, and it's like, oh, they changed, and it's like there's no process shown at all. Like, oh, it's easy,
Yeah, man.
No reaction.
Poof. Poof.
And some people like poof TF because it's more comfortable for them, which I totally get.
Yeah, I get
but
that.
like,
it's easier to draw for sure.
I personally like long drawn out transformations. I like ones that
totally.
last like literally months, because then you really get to know each new part of yourself very, very intimately.
Yeah, drawing it out, getting to experience all the transitional states.
Yeah,
I love the in between states a lot.
there is something to be said for poof transformation, but it's not my thing.
Well,
Yeah.
not every film or piece of media needs like a 15-minute long, gratuitous, disgusting, detailed scene that has nothing to do with the plot, But
What do you
Yes,
mean?
it does.
we all secretly want it, though. At least
Yeah,
That's right.
the people that would be listening to this podcast, and that's why
Probably.
I read Animorphs every single week as a kid, because I was guaranteed just paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of like bones sticking through skin and horrible crunching noises and eyeballs like protruding from sockets and all kinds of horrible, disgusting things that I thought were really cool.
yeah, it's metal, man.
Yeah, man. There's certainly a body horror element to it, but like, I find it fascinating how that body horror element can stop being so body horror-y once there's an acceptance and even a desire that like starts manifesting.
There is still a part of me that finds it gross when I think about it too much. But often in the moment I do enjoy it.
I think it's however you imagine it. At the end of the day, sadly, it is physically impossible. I think we all hope that someday in VR it would be possible to make it really vivid and maybe hook up your nerves to it or something like that. And you can do lucid dreaming, but
Well, I would settle for just a basic VR headset and be able to look at my own reflection and see something else, or maybe I'll be able to afford a fursuit sometime, and it's not quite as impressive, but it would be something at least.
Absolutely.
it'd be awesome.
But yeah, it was early on in my life, I thought I must be the only person in the world that thinks this stuff, like is like this interested in this particular thing. I am such a weirdo. But it was a real shock. It was like around like the year 2000 or so when I found like transfer.net back in the day.
Oh,
and,
yeah, baby.
it was earth shattering. Like, oh my God, like there are other people that are like this. Like, I never imagined such a thing could be possible, And
Yeah, I was pretty happy when I found that website too.
the world we live in now, if any of us said, hey, I'm opening for 10 commission slots, they might just instantly get filled because there's just so many people that are interested in this stuff now and want to visualize their own version of it. It's
It's awesome.
It's really, really cool because furry art is one of the few things where it's funded by the people that like it, and there's no evil corporation getting its tendrils into it and getting a cut of everything and diluting it. It is people spending money to have artists create things that are just for them and not for anybody else. It's nice if a lot of people like it, but it's just for this one person, and it's really, really special and it's unique, And
yeah,
it's such an individual thing. I think that is unique about it, and that kind of brings me to a point I wanted to make. That the reason I see it, that corporations don't get to corporatize the whole subject, even though they kind of are, because you start to see TF movies come out more, like Pixar.
Well, I'm okay with
that. I forget that Big Red Panda. I'm okay with that too. Yeah, but Big Red Panda movie, I can't remember what it's called.
I think it was just called Big Red.
Isn't it called Turning
there you go.
Red?
Yeah, that's it.
Turning Red.
I am happy about that movie.
And Luca, the fish. One thing you'll learn about me if you listen to this podcast enough is that I can't remember names very well for the life of me.
That's okay. I'm always here with you, and I remember everything.
I'm the medium
you
one.
Could. I'd believe that you do remember everything because I can't remember whether you're wrong or not. So
that's right. I've never been wrong.
Okay. Kainik, I'm relying on you to make sure that he's not lying about that to me.
Well,
help.
I mean, I'll do my best.
Thank you. But one of the things that prevented corporations from corporatizing it so much, I do think, is the sexual aspect, the adult, not safe for work stuff that happens with furry art and TF art. And that's a reminder for me to say, I don't think we said it at the beginning, this podcast is going to be, we haven't gotten very adult or sexual in talking yet, but it will be very not safe for work when we want it to be. We're going to talk about whatever we want.
I think the best way to describe it is that in order to be able to talk about transformation in all of its facets, we will be touching on every part of it.
Yes. Yeah, it's impossible to unlink it.
And, a lot of the guests that we hope to have on do draw a lot of not safe for work. So, it's just a part of kind of what we want to talk about.
But still,
hell, we do.
We might be talking about it, but it's not like we're going to be beaming it into your brain or doing
yeah.
Live audio role play with sound effects or anything. So you'll probably stay safe unless the idea of porn existing will make you combust.
This is not going to be the Howard Stern show. Don't worry. But I did want to bring that up just in case.
Yeah.
So that said, minors beware, I guess.
Minors go away. Get out.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Our intention, at least what we're hoping to do, at least, is every week we are going to have an artist, another TF artist or at least TF related person on to just talk about their own personal experiences and their views on things, just an excuse to just go, talk about anything related to, transformation stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll all be really cool because we talk to a bunch of popular people.
That's right.
We'll see.
We got the connections, yo. No, we do. I think we made the point one time that every one of us, we're one or two connections away from talking to anybody in the TF fandom. It certainly feels that way sometimes. I'm not sure if it's actually true, but it's a tight-knit community, and I really like that.
That is the thing that I like about it the most, is the fact that before I started contributing on my own, I had a lot of parasocial crushes on a couple of artists that I really enjoyed the work of, and now I talk to most of them, which is still very surreal. I know it's not, you know, it's not infinite. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you mean. Like,
Yeah, you good.
if you told yourself like a year ago that like, oh yeah, I know blankety blank and we talk all the time, and your younger self would be like, oh my god, oh my
Basically
god.
that.
Yeah.
God, the amount of that I felt. Like, the first artist, and I kid you not, the very first artist I saw when I searched TF art online, I went onto a website called Werecats, or no, it was Bender's Werewolves of Suburbia, some ancient site, which I don't even know if it's still up anymore, but it had TF art on it. And the first artist I saw was a person named Griff.
Oh,
regardless of your feelings on the person or not, like, their art is of a very realistic quality. Like, it, and like, here's young me seeing this and going like, oh wow, I guess all TF art online is photorealistic or gonna be photorealistic.
Yeah,
like,
yours better look at least as good as Griff's, or you're gonna get kicked out.
it's a very impossible to meet standard in my tiny brain. But yeah, it's pretty amazing how far everything has come since then.
Mm-hmm. And it's an odd. It's like, God, I'm gonna sound like such a douchebag saying this, but it's an odd thing to have looked up to some past artist that made all these amazing things that like set your imagination on fire, and then like at some point somehow your art like surpassed their art in quality. You look back on the old stuff that you used to love of theirs, and you're like, wait a minute, like I know how they made that now. And honestly, I've drawn it.
Yeah.
I've drawn it a little bit better than that now, but like this person still seems above me in such a like inspirational way, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, like anyone you might think is like a competitor or a rival or whatever, you know, they're all just like they're not the same, but you know, you can eventually just be friends with them and be cool with one another and support each other and you know, help each other. And it's been a really like comforting feeling to have all these other people to fall back on, you know. Anytime you start feeling
Very much.
feeling like a weirdo or a fraud, you know, all those like fake artist feelings that you might get now and then.
Which, let's face it, it's easy to fall into those things when you're thinking about, like, when you're a fan of, like, bones stretching and muscles, like, twitching and pulsing and trying to imagine what that would feel like. You can start to feel like, is there something wrong with me? But then, oh no, other people are into this too, and it's actually a really, really rad thing.
Yeah, and there's room for all kinds of styles. There's room for all kinds of like focuses, you know. And there's always going to be more people that want art than there are TF artists. So like it's great that everyone's like expressing themselves and like doing things their unique way, you know.
Very much.
I don't know, you know, like I've felt alone a lot in my earlier life, you know. I never really felt like part of a community, and even now I feel like I'm not really there. I'm just like a bystander or something. Then I just interact with it sometimes, but in a very real way though. They've like helped me a lot, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, the main reason that I personally am invested in this podcast is because I live in a time zone where most of my friends are asleep most of the day. I still can feel quite alone, wanting to just be around people who kind of understand transformation in the same way that I do. And I have often wanted just something to listen to in the background that is transformation related or like as close to it as possible. And there just hasn't really been much. And so I am thinking that there's probably some people out there that are in a similar situation, and not only would I like to be a part of this for myself, but also hopefully be able to keep other people company, even though I have definitely talked the least so far because of all of the distractions.
No worries, man.
Yeah, you're good. But
I live...
in a way,
yeah.
I value your input a lot, like the most, because you're the, no offense, but you're the youngest, and I really value your perspective on it, because you grew up in a world, I'm not even that much older than you, but you just grew up in a time that is so different in terms of how TF is viewed by everybody.
We're still, I mean, we're not that different, but we're still different generations.
Yes, yeah,
and
definitely.
I grew up in a time where it was more like everyone was like mostly accepting. I also live in Australia, and people can be super mean here, but anyway, I grew up in a time that was like a lot more accepting, I think, of all of that, because people were growing up kind of surrounded by it. And there was also a lot of media when I was a kid that just had transformation in it, like fucking Ben 10. That was a thing when I was growing up.
Danny Phantom.
If Ben 10 was on TV when I was a kid, I would have like lost my mind.
Yeah. I remember
Seriously.
being introduced to Ben 10, and I was like, what the fuck is this bullshit? And then like the first transformation scene happened, and I'm like, this is my favorite show. I'm never watching anything else ever again.
He slams the Omnitrix down, and you see all like the muscles and veins in his arm, and he's like roaring and slowly changing.
It's crazy. Like as a kid, I loved that.
It's a far shot from like when I was growing up and like Turbo Teen came on.
Yeah.
Like this empty, soulless, blank stare as he like mutates horribly into a car. It's so fucking weird.
And you liked it. You liked it anyway because that's all there was on TV.
Well, no, it awoke. That kind of stuff awoke things in me. Like, I'm not kidding, but back, it's come a long way. Is my only point.
Absolutely.
But it's kind of interesting, like we're all to different degrees, like shy and like hermity type people that we respond when poked online, if you're lucky. But I've always been nervous about putting myself out there. I've gone to Anthrocon multiple times and just kind of like sat in the corner, and I've just been like, I can't talk to these people. I'm too scared, But like doing something like this, though, it's possible that we might inspire like younger people like us to feel more included and like they're a part of something. And even though we're like dorks,
nice.
we can be cool to somebody,
Yeah.
If we don't quit next week.
Yeah, man.
I've never been to a convention before. This is the most I've done. This is the furthest out I've reached, so this is pretty nerve-wracking for me.
Well, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if this gets any attention. It'll only be positive, I think.
I don't even mind if it doesn't get much attention.
Yeah, man.
I want to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's good for us as well, and that's a nice thing. It's not a pain to do or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But for those,
it's helping me figure things out.
For those that haven't been, though, like I found when I was younger, I went to anime conventions just because I don't even like anime that much, but it was just something to go to with all my friends at the time, And it was cool to see all the costumes and just panels about dumb shit, and the dealer's den with all the cool stuff you can buy. And furry conventions are exactly the same. They're just different costumes, and the odds of me actually running into someone I know are up by like 1,000 times, which is cool. But
that is really cool. That is, I really want to go to a convention one day because I am so desperate to just meet someone in real life, like that I can see with my eyes and just be in the same room as, who is into transformation, because it is kind of surreal. For me, I live in a place where nobody really knows anything about transformation at all, and I don't really know any furries in real life at all. So just being able to go to a place and see like a bunch of this crow is really annoying. To go to a place and see, I I appreciate that it's there, but the fact that it is only calling every time I speak is kind of tedious. But anyway, yeah, being able to go to being able to go to a place and see people would be absolutely surreal. I'm very jealous for all of the people who have been able to go to Midwest Fur Fest recently.
Sadly, like, Kulbara and I live like a half-hour drive from that place, but we are so unbelievably poor right now that we can't even afford to go.
Oh, it's not even funny. It's ridiculous, yeah. Oh, good times in the States right now, let me tell you. But, yeah, I guess can you believe that we've been talking for like over an hour now already?
That's good. We should keep talking for longer because I feel like there's going to be some huge cuts.
I hope that's not. I hope that's actually not true because my timer says 53 minutes right now.
Yeah, my timer says 54 minutes.
I haven't been running a timer. Do you just look on the recording? Oh yeah, you're right. I thought it was over an hour. I was close.
Yeah.
Okay.
I judged.
You scared me.
We're not even at an hour yet.
Well, we're now out of things to talk about. Transformation. It's boring now, and it's over.
No. Derivative.
I could talk about this. I could talk about this for years, man.
Yeah, same.
I was interested actually in asking, since we are going to have guests on, hopefully, who is the person that you personally want on more than anything else?
Oof.
Is this an okay question to ask?
I guess so.
I think so.
I'm going to give kind of a generic response, but the first time I ever saw TF art back in 2000 or whatever year it was I just brought up some like GeoCities website or something called, it was just called Transformation Sequences, and it just had a bunch of just random like slideshow images from cartoons and just random furry artists at the time. But Pickle Juice was all over that website. Just anything he had ever, like, drawn up to that point was on this gallery, and it was like the first TF art I'd ever seen. And he had this werewolf sequence that was just like the coolest, most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life, you know. And this is a dude that's been around for like 1,000 years, and I'm honestly not sure if he still does anything, but if I could like magically pick somebody to interview, it would be him.
That sounds
awesome. One of the oldest, like, most prolific TF artists like ever, or at least that's been around the longest, you know.
I don't even know who that is.
Sure. Well, his stuff isn't on like for Affinity or anything. You would kind of have to dig to find it, but like it is around still.
Hello?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now.
That was really weird.
Oh, that was scary.
I thought the internet died here.
Yeah.
Well, maybe like the aliens flew by. The Mewtwo's flew by.
Well, I'm recording everything I just said, even if you guys didn't hear it.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
So no worries. Where were we though?
Well, I was done. I just said that like Pickle Juice was the first artist I ever saw for TF art of, and I respect him a lot, and it would be cool to like hear what he has to say about like anything. But you know, I'm embarrassed.
It's okay.
It's someone else's turn, please.
I can go. So, I have an answer, but I know I'm already probably stealing someone else's answer. So I'll say that answer first, and then I'll pick something else. Curio.
Oh, well,
is the artist.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on too, but he's actually not my answer.
Oh, wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah. Why do you want Curio?
I think Curio would... He has a lot of, I think, feelings about TF that I relate to, and also a lot of things he's done with art that I'm really super curious about. I'm very interested in his whole journey through TF and what it's meant to him and stuff throughout time, I guess, because it's been really interesting seeing all his work over time.
Yeah, that's
But
totally fair.
if it wasn't him, let's see.
For anyone wondering, Kirio is one of the two people that inspired my art style. It was Kirio and Nigo, who both inspired mine.
They're
I'm sure
both
everybody
blue.
knows. Everybody know. Yeah, I know they're both blue. Everybody knows probably who
It's
Nigo
true.
is, but the way that you're supposed to pronounce his name sounds nothing like how it's spelled.
Nigalt.
Yeah,
That's what I always used to
Nihigalt.
say before I knew better.
Nahigalt. That guy. I'd like to think that my art style is a combination of those two artists because those were my main inspirations.
For sure.
But the person that I would want to, I know that you've got someone else to say, so I don't know if you want to say that first.
No, you go. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
The person that I want the most on this podcast, and I don't think it'll ever happen because I don't even know if he's part of the, like, if he even goes on the internet anymore. But there's this guy that used to write a story. Now, this is also my call out. Like, does anybody else know what this is? Because every single time I've talked to someone about it, every single time, nobody has had any idea what this is. But I know that a lot of people know about it because there were heaps of comments on the stories when I used to read it back on DeviantArt. When I was like 13, I found this story on DeviantArt called The College Drag by a writer, I guess, called Farm Fresh. And I read the shit out of that. I was so into that story. I read it every single night before bed. I read a chapter a day for like 3 months because it's huge. And then there was this like slight. Then after the main college drag finished, he did like a couple of short extra stories on the end, and then he started a new series called Feral Time, and then it ended on a cliffhanger, and now that's it. It's been like,
are you just wanting to grill this guy for like what the ending was going to be?
Yeah,
no,
man.
he was my main inspiration. He's like prolific to me because that's the like kind of he is cemented in this like short bubble of my life where I was so like innocently inspired by this story of this guy turning into a dragon at the very beginning, and like for most of the story he's just the dragon and he's like learning to live in kind of semi-normal life with other dragons and like people trying to, and it's like Midwest America too, so it's like a bunch of like very exaggerated characters, and I really enjoyed it.
Where Altered and I are from.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That was my phone. And I just, if I was able to talk to him one day about anything, then I would absolutely love to talk to Farm Fresh.
All right, so Kulbara, I think you had a real answer to go along with your fake answer.
Anyway, yeah.
It wasn't a fake answer. Kirio is not fake. No,
Or
but
is
it's him.
he?
I'd love to have him on.
Oh,
He does draw himself as a
shit.
robot quite a lot.
Oh no, man! Now you got me thinking. I'm all paranoid.
I love robots.
Yes. Is it cheating to give like 3 answers?
Oh my god. Just say all the people, like say like all the 20 people that you want to have on for the rest of the runtime.
Cool. Okay, that's awesome. I would say Proxer,
That'd be
TF
awesome.
Central, and maybe Stickmanaw.
Oh, that's how you pronounce that.
Yeah, I don't know which. Like, I know his name is Steve. Like that's his less complicated name.
Are you
But
allowed
yeah, one
to
of those
say
3.
that?
Yeah. Well, actually, because he streams and he says his name is Steve, like right on the stream.
Oh, okay.
Is
We
that
should probably stick to people's like
like
usernames.
against the
though, if
rules? I don't know
possible.
actually. Well, I think that was a good introduction podcast. I mean, there's nothing wrong with an hour-long podcast.
Yeah. And I've listened to quite a few podcasts, and how it usually goes is the first few episodes are like fairly short, like this one, until the hosts get more comfortable, and then you have like 4 to 5 hour monstrosities that are impossible to listen to, and that's the final evolution.
That sounds good.
It's true, and I think we got a good hook on everything. Like, we talked about what gets us into it, what's good about it. We can get more into the nitty-gritty with guests and focus on particular subjects.
We can especially talk about how insanely frustrating the act of creating art is, and how we all have like incredible
Yes.
mental problems and suffer from anxiety
Yes.
and night terrors.
Yeah, isn't that cool? We all have like really cool epic
Oh, yeah.
anxiety. It makes us really awesome, cool people.
Look, like, every great creator, I firmly believe, is, like, depressed. Like, every great comic is massively depressed.
I don't think so. I think that a lot of people who are in the creative industries are also like have mental divergence in some way that causes more angst because they don't fit in with society. But I am not going to go around saying that I think that you have to be depressed to be a good artist,
but
because
it
I don't
helps.
think that's true. No, stop.
Look, we're not saying you have to. Okay. For real, though, no, you don't have to be depressed. I agree 100%. You could be a perfectly happy,
Yes.
level-headed individual and still make amazing things.
Yes.
You truly can.
And it's also okay if you're suffering from mental issues.
Though do try and get them looked at. Not enough people, that's not the point of the podcast, but I know a lot of people in the furry community deal with stuff. Like, try and take care of yourselves. I wanted to say one other thing about that. That leads me to, like, I guess one of the goals for me for this podcast is I really want to help inspire people. Because like Kainik said, I've often wanted to listen to more TFE, any TF content I could get my hands on. And you can only listen to, like, the Double Helix podcast repeated so many times,
And the wonderful 2 or 3 episodes of TF Talks that I am devastated didn't continue.
Now you'll have a third. Option.
Yeah, that'll hopefully last like
Exactly 10 episodes.
a long time. No, I want it to last. I really, really, really hope it does well and it keeps going. Yeah. Well, the hope is that this one will be on YouTube.
Yeah, we're up.
And it will be linked on Fur Affinity and Twitter.
Okay. And we're so obscure right now that if you asked us something, you're pretty much guaranteed to have us read it. So you should probably do it.
Yep. Yeah, this is
your opportunity, folks.
This is the best time to ask because, like, you will most definitely be featured unless this is like a smash overnight hit, which I mean that would be cool, but that's not likely. Especially how awkward this episode's been.
Whatever. I've seen more awkward things than this.
True.
Oh yeah, man. I don't think it was. I mean, it was a little awkward, but I don't think it was that awkward. I think. I don't know. My brain juice is running low, but I'd say that I don't think there was any like colossal fuck ups or anything.
That's the story of my life.
No.
I'm really nervous that I will say something that will get me cancelled in the future. I'm so nervous.
Like,
that's what editing is.
As long as you're not being intentionally crass or abusive, I don't think you're going to actually say anything that bad. And if you do, it's because it's the future and things have changed and we're old now and we don't know what the young people are talking about and I'm angry all the time.
You're not going to have a heated gaming moment.
God. Well, thank you. On that bombshell.
A heated TFTuesday moment.
On that bombshell. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the first episode of the Transformation Tuesday podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm really happy that we managed to be the first people to have a podcast called the TFTuesday Podcast.
That's true.
Yeah, it's pretty epic.
Honestly. And I hope you all have really nice TFE dreams tonight.
Fair enough. Talk to you next time.
Yeah, next time.
See you later.
Sorry.
That's so good. That's so